Howdy, Caitlyn. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. So, are you ready to get this interview started?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. So, for starters, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Caitlyn Cooper, and I am from Spring, Texas. I'm currently a senior at Texas A&M University, and I'm planning on graduating spring of 2022. Once I am graduated, I plan on getting my alternate teaching certification so that I can become an ag teacher and teach kids. I would say that COVID probably took a lot from me in terms of getting involved at A&M, but I have pushed through that and tried to get as involved as possible by doing internships because obviously clubs and stuff like that were shut down. And you can see what internships I was a part of on my resume further. Um, I do think that I'm a very good candidate for this job because I love kids, I love agriculture, and I love teaching kids about agriculture.
Awesome, great to hear. So, why are you applying for this job?
I'm applying for this job because, like I said, I love agriculture and I love kids. One of the big things about me is that I love to teach. Anyone who will listen to me, I'm always trying to teach people things, especially if they don't know. When people aren't familiar with agriculture and what it's all about, I just love to share that knowledge with them because there's a lot of false information out there on the internet, and a lot of people don't really know what agriculture is all about. So that is something that's really, really important to me.
Is there anything in specific that made you interested at a young age?
Probably when I was in FFA, I've always kind of struggled with school. Like school's always been hard for me because I'm dyslexic, and so I just never really was motivated to try to like work towards something. And once I was in FFA, obviously like for the use for URL guidelines and all that, you had to pass all of your tests and grades so that you could become a, sorry, I lost my train of thought, so that you could participate in all of the activities. And so at that point, I was motivated to keep my grades up so that I could participate in all these things. And once I found FFA, I loved it and I was all in. I've never found anything I've been more passionate about in my life.
Oh, that is so great to hear that you're very passionate about this. So, what have you done to prepare for this job before coming today?
So in terms of preparing for this job, I obviously currently do not have my alternate certification, teaching certification, but I do plan on getting it. I have a lot of hands-on experience with animals. I was obviously an FFA in high school, and I just overall have like really tried to dive deep into the ag industry.
Awesome. So, what skills or attributes qualify you?
So I think that the biggest skill that qualifies me for this job is that my willingness and excitement for teaching kids that aren't really necessarily aware of agriculture. Because like I said, I love teaching kids and students and even adults. Anyone who's willing to listen, I will talk to them about agriculture, and I will teach them as long as they're willing to learn.
Awesome. So, what are what is one of your biggest strengths and one of your biggest weaknesses?
So one of my biggest strengths is probably that I'm pretty easygoing and laid back. I'm a team player. I love teamwork. I love cooperation. I think that especially in an FFA program, teamwork is essential to be successful. And so I think that that is very important, and having a team that works and functions properly is also very important. I would say probably one of my biggest weaknesses is that whenever I like things to go a certain way, I like to plan ahead and I like to know what's going to happen. And so part of that is obviously planning and kind of leading and making plans to do stuff. So if things don't necessarily work out the way I am anticipating, I can tend to get a little bit frustrated, but you just got to kind of go with the flow, take a deep breath, and just, it's not always going to work out the way you want it to.
Good way to look at your weakness, Caitlin. So, what do you view as your most valuable skill slash attribute?
So I would say that my most valuable skill or attribute is probably my passion and willingness to advocate for agriculture. like I said, there's so many people out there that are so against agriculture, and the agriculture industry does such horrible things, and we're all horrible people. And I think that it is very important for people to know that all those facts are not true, and that there is a whole other side to the ag industry that people aren't aware of. And honestly, like something I've been thinking about since I was in high school, I think it should be mandatory for students to take a principles of ag class so that students can know where your food comes from, pasture to plate or field to plate. I think that is a very important thing for people to have, and that's knowledge that people need to know.
I totally agree with that. What do you want to get out of your professional life?
So the biggest thing I want to get out of my professional life is just spreading the knowledge of agriculture. I feel like a lot of people come into jobs like this, it's just a position to fill. Like I know a lot of the teachers that I had when I was in FFA, you kind of sat in the classroom, you just kind of watched a movie, you occasionally did some work. It was just kind of, they were more worried about like the animals and the teams and stuff like that. But these teachers have a big opportunity to teach these kids about agriculture. And I think that a lot of times these opportunities are missed because these teachers are not taking it seriously.
Okay. And I was looking over your resume before you came in today, and I kind of just wanted to ask you about the experience you have had at the GC Farms and Ranch in Navasota, Texas. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So this is something that my family probably created my sophomore year of high school, is probably back in 2014. I raised cattle my junior and senior year of high school, and we just kind of wanted a place to keep the cattle and stuff like that we had. And so, but after I graduated, my sister really got into the show cattle, and me and her raised Cimbras and Simmentals. And so currently we probably have about 20 head of cattle at least, and that's growing constantly because even just yesterday we had a calf drop. But our goal is to create a show business by selling show animals to kids. So we want to raise these heifers, and it was our old show heifers, and being able to see them go to another kid, their offspring go to another kid and show those, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. So how can you help our team or work group?
So like I've stated before, I think that teamwork and communication are two very important things that doesn't matter where you're working, any workspace, you need teamwork and you need communication. The more conflict you have, the harder it is going to be to work together. And so by communicating with each other and just keeping an open mind and willing to work together, I think that will make for a very successful work environment and a very successful program.
Okay. How do you respond when faced with a challenge?
So when I'm faced with a challenge, I typically don't shy away from it. I know that life is going to bring you challenges. I know life's not going to be easy at times, and that's just something that you have to deal with. So I don't really run away from it. I'm just going to go towards it head on, and you just got to deal with it. I mean, whichever way is possible.
Great attitude you have. How do you handle difficult coworkers?
So the difficult coworkers are going to happen anywhere you work. I mean, you're always going to have someone like that. I think that the biggest thing about difficult coworkers is just communicating to them, talking to them, and if there's a problem between me or the other person, trying to come to a conclusion and a solution onto how to fix that problem. I think it all comes down to communication. If something's bothering them, then you just need to talk to them, and it's honestly up to you to work it out, because if you don't work it out, the kids will be affected by that.
True. So tell me about a recent problem you overcame and how.
So, like I said, last night, we even had a calf drop yesterday. So the cow had gone into labor probably about 5:30 yesterday evening, and we've been worried about the calf for a while now, just because the bull that she was bred to was a bigger bull. And so the cow had been in labor for about 30 minutes, and we saw hooves and nose, and there was no progression of the calf coming out or anything. me and my sister had tried to pull the calf, extract the calf from the cow whenever she was pushing, and there was no move. Nothing was happening. We could not get the calf out. And so at that point, I was like, we need to make a call right now. We can either keep trying to do this, possibly lose this calf, or we can load this cow up and take it to the vet and deal with it there. And so at that split second, I made the call to take it to the vet. I loaded the cow up, and we were on our way to the vet within like 10 minutes. And that was the right call because that calf is alive today.
Oh, I'm glad to hear. So what are your short-term and long-term goals, and how does this job fit into that picture?
So my short-term goal is obviously to finish college because I'm about the year left. We're almost there, counting down the days. My long-term goal is to find a job that suits me well and works with me, and that I can thrive with. I want a successful work environment and a safe work environment, and something that is just I'll know when I get there. And I think that this school in particular is perfect for me. Obviously, like how this would fit into my goals is because I want to be an ag teacher, and that is my long-term goal, to be successful being an ag teacher.
Okay, perfect. Now, last but not least, do you have any questions for me today, Caitlyn?
I do. Just 1 second, let me pull them up.
Okay.
So the first question I have for you is, when looking further into the school, I did a little bit of research, and I discovered that y'all had a barn facility for students to keep their animals at if they didn't have their own property. I was wondering how many students actually use y'all's barn facility.
Okay. So to answer your question, because we live in a suburban area, the majority of the students will typically keep their animals in our barn.
All right, thank you. Another question that I had was, with this being such a large school, do the ag teachers typically work together on each of their species, or is each ag teacher designated a specific animal?
So typically each species of animal is assigned to a teacher. However, teamwork is always accepted and encouraged.
All right, good to know. And I have one more question. If given this job, what classes would I be teaching?
So potentially the classes that are available for this position at the moment are Principles of Agricultural and Flora Design. But classes can be interchanged between teachers depending after the course has ended.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this opportunity.
Anytime.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.